Well, this is part 2 of Peony, so I decided that I'll split it in 2 parts and show what will be the final result. So I continue working on my ground peony at this point, so I see some coolness. You can see that nice coolness adds a very nice variation as well to the flower. So actually I did a little bit of viridian and a little bit of cobalt blue. Yeah. So I'm trying to not to overwork it either. So pinks and like very light pink and very light green and blue go quite well together. So I'm trying not to make the edges very sharp either, because it's a background peony. So let's see what happens. I'm still painting with this number 6 rosemary evergreen long flat. I wish I would have the longer handle, but I think when I ordered it I didn't think about how short it's going to be. I wanted to save some money, I think, so learned my lesson. Yeah, so peony in the back is almost done. I'm going to cover it slightly with the background, so like this, just to follow the shape of petals. So hopefully I will be able to do more peony paintings before they die, because we have a heat wave coming. We're next on the list for heat wave, so I hope I will save some of my flowers, but if not, then I have to paint maybe what I have here, try to keep them as long as I can. I also painted some flowers directly in the garden from the vase and from the peony bush, so I did my best before that heat, but I don't know. I have few different bushes coming at different time. So I'm working on this slow peony again, as you can see, just because I thought while I'm doing background I could re-emphasize some petals there. And I think it's a little bigger than I thought, so I'm going to make it smaller. For the background color I'm using ultramarine and brown. Also there are some greens from the plant. So for greens I'm using viridian and transparent red oxide here. I think that flower goes this way. I have this nice warm color that I want to put here. Little highlight as well. little highlight on here. So I'm cleaning my brush, especially with flowers. You really have to clean it on a regular basis while you paint, because it gets contaminated so easy, especially like on delicate parts where you have to have a clean color. I'm going through this flower now again, already with more detail, just a little bit more detail. Make it a little softer edges as well. So the petals that I expected to unfold didn't unfold. Means I'm going to leave it as it is. Just trying to see which color will work better for it. I think this one will work. It's very interesting how it's shaped, this petal. So I really don't know what to do with it, but I find it interesting, so I'll leave it, because that's what peony is about. The petals just go as they want. So a little bit more depth to this one and to this one. Then I have a little bit light on this particular petal. Just trying to look for all the lights that come, even though it's on this side where is more shadow. Still some petals catch the light, so I'm looking at those, trying to paint those. And because it's such a soft brush, I can really paint over some areas with it. I think this has more darkness in it at the back. I just noticed when I squint, I realized. So I'm going to go through the, I'm going to squint and see if this area needs more depth. So there are some highlights on this little fluffy things. So I'm going to do some of them just like this with the edge of my brush, and that's probably enough. I don't want to overdo it. And then there is some more leaves coming. And now I'm going back to my main peony just to work on it a little more, to re-emphasize some things. So I think my middle has to be has more depth. And then around it as well. That's a good thing with soft brush, you can just use the paint that already there and work with it. Try to be mindful of what I'm painting. Means try to not to do too much. Oh, that's an interesting color I put. Obviously it came from my brush or from my palette. Definitely from my palette. So this peony petal, kind of blue. So now I can see that this peony has more emphasis on it because it's the main one, and I also put more texture on it as well. Some petals overlap, so I think I'm going to leave it again, and that's how I do normally. Like some flowers, you just don't want to work too long on them. I'd rather go with a small brush, maybe one more time. So this, like I said, I'm not going to work on only just a little emphasis on some parts of it. So there's a little bit blue here. The same, I'm kind of repeating already what I have there, just defining the silhouette, going through some areas where I think more detail wouldn't hurt, or some lights I missed, because light keeps coming back and forth, so I'm going with the light. When I see it, I paint it. When I go somewhere else and then come back, if I see more light or more interesting light, I paint it as well. A bit more depth on these petals, actually. So, for one more peony on the left that I want to add more definition, especially that it now kind of turned a little, so I'm going to go through its petals and see what I can do. So I try this blue-green color that I already had on this side. A little bit of cobalt into that mixture, and a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, because I think that may help a little. actually it didn't. So I'm going to do a little purple and see how that works, even though I see almost like yellow type petals. I may try a little. Yeah, may actually work. Just a little touch of yellow there, just in some areas. So now I'm going to go with pink where needed. That part is really almost like violet, maybe because of background. This one also has some yellow in it. Not as bright maybe, but so I think I don't like that green actually over there. I may move it, I may do more depth again, because that's quite warm. Then I need to add the main petal over there. So I think I kind of lost shape a little here. And I think painting with background will help me, with background around it, will help me to get it back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do background first here, so I could get back the silhouette first and then the shape. Also, I may want to go a little darker to get the shape back, especially in this area. That's very dark. But it may sometimes do the job. So, have some orange and some green, kind of dull color, dull yellow color. Of course, I'm going to make this a little lighter. So again, we'll go with background because silhouette is important, as well as the actual form. think I shouldn't forget to wipe my towel. To wipe my brush with my towel. Plus I have this little bud here that I need to paint around carefully. So now I see where I lost my shape, actually, my silhouette. It's very interesting how silhouette helps to understand the overall shape when you get a little lost. So here and here. And then it's here. Here. So now I think I may go with a smaller brush on this peony, just to see will this work better for me or not. So kind of go this back a little, go with the darkest first, and then with the lights after. So let's see what happens. So some of this paint comes off the tip of the brush. It's a little bit too much. So there are some little petal, they're like little tongues sticking out in the light. So I'm trying to get those in. And then this yellow petal, really like yellow color. Now I have to go back with the stem and the leaf. There's a thing I missed. Once I stand back now and look more at this peony, I can just see this spot coming at the back. So that kind of may help to understand shape even better. Because I think that's what I haven't seen, that there is this green. And there is a background at this part. Actually, I'm going to wipe it all off and do it again. So that's what happens sometimes. You just have to go again with clean. To wipe my hands and start again on that peony, just redefine the shape. So I don't think I'll touch other peonies at this point. So actually interesting, because I think this peony moved too. Otherwise, how I would miss that? But it's possible. So the leaf was there. The leaf was definitely there. There is this area that really dark. Very dark. There is stem as well of this peony. Comes, and then there is this like very pale petals. They're almost the color of background, and that's why I maybe missed it. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make that background a little darker, because I think that's where was my miss. I made background very light there. So I'm mixing more ultramarine and brown and some white. I'm going to go with the like small brush. And because it's lighter at the bottom, I'm kind of going to smooth it and paint over it. The main thing to paint again my little bud here. That was already okay, but now I have to do it again. So that leaf comes actually under it. Don't have completely lost stem on it, but kind of. I'll have to go back again with the, I think with the support, so I could do it straight, but for now I'll leave as it is. I'm going to do this leaf properly. This one and this one that comes off this little, they kind of cross each other because these are leaves almost at the front, so I will take my time to make them clearly. So that comes under here. And then I have, it's come under here, but this comes curls. Fortunately, my green almost finished. And then the leaf over there. Comes on that, so I have to paint over it again. Then I'm going to cover around. That's the thing I like. You can cover around leaves easy. I have to go back to my little stem just to make sure I do it right. A little bit of cadmium yellow light and a little bit of viridian. And I go under it. I go under this stem as well. This one, darker one. Like I said, there was lots of dark green on behind it, so I can see still some stuff coming. Anyway, at least my bud didn't open yet, so that's a good thing. Kind of re-emphasizing there. And again with background. So I think this peony almost done. I can see some warmer tones in here. I think I saw them before as well, but when I put them they didn't look right, so just there is a little bit of purple to bring up those yellow tones. I need to go with some purple because the opposite on color will. And then this part is not as dark because it's not the main peony. I shouldn't worry too much about it. Just enough to give impression it's a fluffy peony on that side, and make sure the light falls correctly on the main areas. So a little bit more warmth here. Here. And I think I may leave it. Sometimes it helps to leave next day even, because I'm sure I will look at that painting tomorrow and just to see what else I missed, because I've been looking for it for a long time now. I'm on my second part of the video as well, so I'm going to go with background color and finish it at this point. And tomorrow I may do jar, because jar will be there, nothing will happen to it. and peonies are almost done, so majority of them will stay probably like this, but from the one that already opened. So I think it should be fine. I may go a little bit with cast shadow here behind peonies, because surprisingly it appeared and before I didn't see it, obviously because it's getting darker, so that cast shadow would work quite well for me. Add some depth to the background. So I'm adding more warmer colors in there. I can see like a sun kind of. Maybe I'll do jar later today actually, because right now I can see a really good light on it that I should capture, so I think I'll just do this. Maybe it's a little bright, but I can always make it a little darker if I need to. Yeah, so my jar at the bottom is very dark, but then there is some light on this side and this side. Some green leaves. Some of them are very green. Actually, my jar is almost dry now. Surprised how fast it happened. Again, it's this panel that works like a sponge, obviously. So I'm mixing some, again, greens, whites, whatever I see in the jar, how the leaves reflect. Trying to make it soft. This has more bluish tone to it. I'm using ultramarine and brown and some viridian for my jar tones, and then for light I used cadmium, yellow light and white. I can't tell which proportion it is, but I think it's more white in it. To do this dark a bit on this side. I think it's dark on this side as well. then I will go and see which stems are most standing out as well. Don't see too many stems, but there are some really bright ones. It's kind of dull light color because it's through the glass. And there is some worms, like brown worms in it, that comes from the tabletop. I have to move this thing. So I'm going to work on tabletop later, because all I'm going to do is just cover this color with a little bit lighter and go through the highlights. I'm going to put a little highlight here as well, and there is a little bit of tabletop at the back as well. So I think at this point I'll finish and I'll look at it again maybe tomorrow, go through the main areas of concern for me, and see where I need to work more. Should have done this. At this point, that's what when they say, when you start doing things that you have no idea what you're doing, you should stop and leave it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this painting for now and come back to it. So I hope this will helpful in some way, learning painting glass peonies and overall concept of oil painting flowers. If you have any questions or requests or suggestions, please let me know, and I wish you happy painting until next time. And part 2 should see my setup as well. So these are my peonies, and at this note I'm saying goodbye. Actually, I'm going to show my palette again. This is my palette. So as you can see, I have a variety of reds and purples there, and variety of greens, because these all needed in multiple different tints of flowers. Okay, so happy painting. See you next time.